pull up your chairs. Let's talk about the big game, the Super Bowl. What are some of the life lessons, the biblical lessons in the Super Bowl? We're going to find them. How do you lose well? How do you continue on when you're down and out in life? Let's dive in. Hey everyone, welcome to the Pastor's Hangover. My name is Melissa, and each week we chat, we dive in, and we get after it with some of the team here. And Pastor Hal Mayer.
Hello, hello.
Pastor Craig Altman.
Hey guys.
And Pastor Daryl Black.
Let's go.
Yeah.
We're excited for another episode.
We are.
And we're going to chat today about the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody watch it?
Yes.
Everybody.
Maybe the first half.
It was. I watched the whole thing. It was.
I wanted Chiefs.
I was going for the Eagles. So
I was going for the Chiefs.
yeah.
We both said Eagles, me and Hal.
Wow. Disappointment.
Yeah, but at best, I thought it would be a good game.
Yeah, man.
Right.
What even close?
It looked like one team had a chip on their shoulder and the other team expected to win. Was what it looked like.
Oh yeah.
They just
and so
outplayed.
they
Bigger,
just-
better team. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I
beat 'em
mean,
up.
I feel like KC just couldn't get out the blocks.
Yeah.
Like they were
Yeah.
just
23 total yards in the first half.
bro.
That was crazy.
5 sacks, 6 sacks, interceptions. I mean,
Yeah.
it was like watching a preseason game
Yeah.
that didn't matter.
Yeah.
And
But
it was
Daryl,
rough.
we're going to turn this football moment into a spiritual moment, aren't we?
We are.
You said what about
This-
leadership?
Yeah, this is our topic, which is
Leadership lessons from the Super Bowl. We're going to talk through what can you learn and apply to your life, what failure looks like, how do you fail well. So let's start there. I mean,
Wow.
a little bit of a public embarrassment, right? They came in maybe a little too cocky and they were expected to win. They were the favorite and they got smacked.
Let's be clear, 1.5 point favorites. They weren't like heavy favorites.
True.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
true.
let's just start there.
But probably
favorite.
in
Yeah,
their-
they were
still a
favorites.
favorite. Yeah.
and in the
It should have been 40-6. But
Do you think they're arrogant? I don't think they were arrogant.
You know what? I don't know that it was arrogant. I mean, talented, gifted. They know their game. They ran their plays. And I wouldn't even say that it was because the Eagles were better. I'm not necessarily. I just think that even when you are a winner, you lose. Even when, and I think that they just had their ticket. Like the Eagles just had their ticket from the beginning. And I don't think that
They had their A game, man.
Yeah, I don't think that the Chiefs knew how to reorganize, at least in the first half. In the second half, in the last 10 minutes of the game, they were playing them, but a whole lot of factors had changed.
Yeah.
But I think it becomes, for the best of us, man, you can prepare,
yeah.
you can do the work, and you still lose.
Yeah.
And I think in life sometimes an art that we don't develop is the art of losing.
That's good.
What do you do when you lose? What it says a lot about your character when you've lost, when you've prepared, like when you've done, man, I put the work in. I read the stuff. I went to practice.
Yeah.
And we still lost.
Yeah.
And so what does comeback look like after that? And so there are some principles that watching Mahomes lose in a losing game, which I actually thought were pretty phenomenal. And so I'll stop there. I know you got some questions. I don't want to
No,
just jump
I
right
want to
into this.
dive in.
I just jump in. I think the reality is we don't win every time.
right.
Yeah.
In life, you don't win. You don't get that job every time. You interview, you've done your prep,
Yeah.
and you don't get the job. Doesn't mean that God has forsaken you. So many times we interpret something when we lose that it happens.
Right.
Yeah.
It's part of life is losing. But unfortunately, we live in this, hate to say it, this everyone gets a trophy world.
Yeah.
And
Right.
people aren't really prepared for adversity in their life. And I think you said the key point. When you do lose, you can still be a winner. It's how you bounce back, right?
Yeah.
How do we bounce back from defeat
Yeah.
in our lives?
Yeah, it's failing forward.
Yeah.
It's-
A
it's-
famous
it's-
book by John Maxwell.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's what do we learn? How do we respond?
Yeah.
Because if we don't respond well in our failures, then we won't have the wins again. And so, and some of the greatest people have failed a lot in the beginning. I mean, Jordan, how many years before? And then he won 3 in a row, and then 3 in a
And
row.
then three- yeah.
And so it's how do you fail forward? But yeah.
Yeah. Well, think about, is it R.P. Macy, Macy's department?
Yep.
7 business initiatives.
Yeah.
All of them failed, but the 8th one worked. Thomas Edison. I mean, we can go through the list, right?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
How you see failure.
Yeah.
Failure is not failure. It's how do you redefine it? Do you use failure as fertilizer
Yeah.
to help you grow? Yeah, all those things kind of come into play.
Yeah, I think Christians and believers, we have to learn from our failures. And I'm thinking about, we were talking about this earlier. That's thinking about, man, you're the favorite to win. You're in the GOAT conversation.
Yeah.
And you're in front of millions of people. You're in front of essentially the world.
Yeah.
And you lose.
No, you get
and
your
you
butt
get
whipped.
stomped.
Yeah, it was bad.
And I like how many times in your life, I'm sure we could think of examples and why we're not in front of millions of people. It can feel like millions of people when it's just when you failed as a husband. It can feel like millions of people know when you failed as a parent. It can feel like it doesn't matter the amount of people. What matters is just the failure is in itself. I didn't get the job. I lost the account. Those things didn't happen the way that I expect them to happen. And so what we have to start concentrating on is what do I do when I lose? Because you will lose.
Yeah.
Being a believer, being a Christian doesn't mean you win all the time. Success is a part of our relationship with Jesus Christ. We win in the end. But along the way, man, we're stumbling, we're falling, we're failing, and all of that stuff happening. And so what does comeback look like after that? And I think one of the things that I found particularly interesting watching Mahomes, they're getting their butt kicked.
Yeah, it's bad.
Again, but for 4 quarters, they're getting their butt kicked.
Yeah.
But in that last 10 minutes, you're losing, but he's still playing like he has a chance. Like they don't send in their third string and say
They don't give up. They kept going.
They don't send in the second or the third quarter QB and say, hey man, we're just gonna let you sit this out. He still goes in and we still gonna run these plays, which says a lot that even when you know you're losing is not a time for giving up. You don't know what the end is going to be.
Right.
Like anything in sports, we've seen it sports, anything can happen. When the Patriots played a couple of years ago, they were down 27-3.
Yeah. I was at that game.
Yeah. And they could have said, there's no way.
Yeah.
We're not coming back from them. But they kept playing. And eventually you win the game. It doesn't always turn out that way where you win the game, but there's something to be said about, man, I didn't just give up when it got bad. I kept pressing forward. And I think it was Pastor Ricky who he said with me, he said, when you keep pressing forward, you're actually preparing for the next season.
You know, it's funny you say that. There was a guy that was dead for 3 days, and they thought everything was over. The movement was over.
Come on.
It wasn't over.
It wasn't over.
There was a third day.
Yeah.
Amen.
Y'all know we getting ready for Easter already.
Hey, you know, it reminds me of
The greatest comeback.
The Proverbs, I think there's a verse that says, the righteous man falls down seven times, but he gets back up. And man, you got to get back up. The enemy's condemning you. A lot of times you've made a mistake, maybe a terrible mistake in your life, and he's pointing a finger and condemning you. You got to get back up because God is for you. He's not against you. I've talked to people, man, I failed as a parent. I said, in that moment, you can still reach out. I had a guy one time, I wasn't a good dad. I was immature, and now his kids are in their 20s. I said, you know, back then it was write him a letter. And he goes, what's that going to do? I said, you write him a letter, humble yourself and say, you know what, I regret.
Right.
You know what? He got a big W out of that. God restored his relationship. It's never over.
It's never.
No matter what you think you failed in.
Yeah, it's never too late to start where you are.
Right.
Even though you might be failing or losing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think even in the Christian life, especially when you're trying to change your life or you're trying to allow God to change you, it's very easy in a moment where you go the wrong way or you do the wrong thing or you raise your voice after you're trying so hard not to, or you say something you're not supposed to, or you step back into something to just go, oh well, I'm done. Yeah. It's like, no, we've been given a new start and we have the Holy Spirit, and so it's you cannot immediately go, we're done. And because when the moment you do that, I mean, I talked about this before. I said at the end of my message the other week, I said guilt is a worthless emotion in the fact that it doesn't allow us to move forward. Guilt keeps us where we are. And so in failure and all those things, it's very easy to just go, well, I'm this. God never tells you are what you've done. He says who you are because he said you're a child. And so he's like, it's not what you've done in your past. It's who you are and what I'm going to use you to do in the future. And so if we do that, it changes the way we see things.
His mercies are new every morning. Amen. You got to believe in God's mercy.
Yeah. So that just reminds me, like if someone were asking for, hey, what are practical steps for preparing for loss, preparing for not to win. And not that we were walking around going, hey, I'm going to lose it all.
Yeah.
But no, understanding that failure is a part of what we do. It is not the end. It's a part of us moving forward. And that reminded me, humility. Like recognizing, I don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
I messed this up. There were some things that I could not see. There's some things that I could not predict, and really being honest about that and not being arrogant. And I think that's one of those things when I'm watching the Super Bowl game, I'm going, this guy makes adjustments. Mahomes makes an adjustment from the first half to the second half. It goes, man, it's not what I thought it was going to be. Like my O-line did not do what I expected them to do. I've got to shift. I've got to be honest about where we are. I got to be honest about the mistakes that we made, and then go, okay, I need more assistance. I need more education. I need halftime. I need to go talk to the coach again. I need to have different conversations to help me on this next half of my life for the next quarter. And that takes a level of humility.
It does.
Because
what
arrogance,
I'm doing is not working.
Yeah, because arrogance will say it was everybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Blame
me, it was
everybody.
them. If you guys would have just done your part, if you would have just played your position, then I wouldn't be in this position.
That's so good.
Humility says, no, I played a part in this, and I've got to own the part that I played.
That's really good.
And sometimes the part we play, we think when we're running the plays, I mean, I'm doing everything that I'm right that when I'm running the play. And that may be true, but did you communicate properly before the game started? Are you communicating the right stuff in the middle of the game? And those are the things that you have to be humble enough to go, man, what did I miss? What do I need to look at differently?
You said a key. I mean, I think about real life, and maybe you're hitting a wall. You're failing when it comes to communicating with your children.
Yeah.
Well, the worst thing you do is keep doing the same thing over and over again. What adjustments do I need to make to reconnect, to build the bridge, to have a relationship, whether it's your children or your marriage? Your marriage is, maybe it's failing. It's just not good. Well, you keep doing the same thing. It's amazing to people that don't make adjustments. But to make adjustments, you got to humble yourself and not look at them and look at you first and go, what maybe am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, there's two parties. I understand that. But what am I doing wrong? What are the adjustments that I need to make this better? So that's a great point.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things too of understanding it's a process too. And so it's not just one singular thing. And so I was talking, we were doing a podcast for the Zone, and your entire ability to be a parent is not going to be defined in a moment.
Right.
Like it's moments over time. In the same way, you don't lose them in a moment, but you don't also win the entire thing by just having one good moment with them or doing one good trip or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But it is humility, and the fact that, I mean, we've seen this is people many times either in the dating world or even in the marriage world where the relationship fails and they go, well, they were just this. And then they go on, and it keeps happening over and over again. And you're like, wait, well, then let's say they're all crazy, whatever it may be, or they're all this way.
Yeah.
You keep picking that. So there's something there in you that's causing this. And so if you're never at the place, humility is what brings relationships together. Humility is what brings people together every single time.
It's good.
But
Yeah, it was, what was the next? Humility is also addressing things with confidence and saying, people respect leaders who can call out the things that they've done wrong.
Yeah.
And be honest about it. I think Mahomes put in a tweet, he admitted in the tweet, he's like, yo, I got this wrong and I have to do better.
Yeah.
Like, that's just honest to go, I got this wrong, I have to do better. I remember one time my daughter came to me and she told me, and I've got 5 kids, I've got 3 girls, and raising girls are nothing like raising boys. For anybody that needs to know, they are not the same at all. And I've always told my daughters that they're beautiful, that they're special, they're all this stuff. And one day, one of my daughters came to me and she said, Dad, you don't tell me I'm beautiful enough. And my first thought was, you are out of your mind.
Yeah.
Like, I say it all the time. And I was wondering why she was having certain anxieties and identity issues. And she said, you don't tell me I'm beautiful enough. And I said, yes, I do. Or at least I thought I did.
Yeah.
And then when I had enough humility to go, okay, tell me what you mean. Because I think I'm doing something and you're not hearing it the same way.
Yeah.
And she broke it down for me. She said, you don't say these words like this. When I come in, she's like, when I come in with an outfit, you're like, oh, that's nice. Oh, that looks cute. And she wants to hear, she's like, no, I want to hear, that's incredible. That's beautiful. Oh, you're the most beautiful girl that I've ever seen. And I had to listen, and I had to learn how to communicate in a different way. And I think that's part of humility. Like, you've got to be honest enough to go, man, I've got to learn a new skill.
Yeah.
If I want this relationship to grow, I've got to learn a new skill, because what I thought I was doing right was failing.
Yeah.
I thought I was building you up in this way, and turns out I wasn't doing that. I was doing what I thought was the right thing, and I wasn't adding you into the equation of the communication. So now that I'm hearing what you need to hear, now let me spend the time to learn a new skill, and give me the grace to learn a new skill, little by little, to make those small adjustments. Now, and that was a couple of years ago. Now we're in a much better place where she can be more transparent with me, and she can call me out, and she can go, Dad, that wasn't the right sentence, and then I can fix it.
Yeah. You know, another leadership lesson was at the end of the game when they interviewed Jalen Hurts. What I loved about it was, and I don't think he just said this because it's the right thing to say. I really believe he believes this. Yeah, it was a win for the team, not just me.
Yeah.
The quarterback's in the spotlight, but I love that. And I think that in life, if when you win, you think it was just you, no, there's always someone supporting you, encouraging you. It's a life, and winning is a team effort.
Absolutely.
And the minute you think I did it, you're in trouble when it becomes I. And we see that in the Bible. Arrogance, sometimes success can be a blessing, but success can lead to arrogance.
Absolutely.
In our lives. Even Saquon, who everyone thought was going to have this dynamic game, he really didn't do a whole lot, but he was celebrating with the team. He didn't go, you know what? I didn't get the ball enough, or this. I mean, and I think some people get jealous, even if it's a team win, because they weren't maybe shining in that game. Man, if you're part of a team, a leadership lesson is celebrate with a team.
Yeah.
I really think that's so important, and I think he exhibited that really well.
Absolutely. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, the first thing he said was, defense wins championships, right? Like he was just...
He did.
You know,
he didn't even
was
talk
just
about
excited,
the offense.
Right?
Did you see that great run I had and what I did here? He just, it was good.
Yeah.
Boy, that's good. Come on. You watch the
Defense
game.
wins championships.
Defense wins championships.
Defense wins championships. And it just hit me, right? Because it was immediate, take the spotlight off of himself and put it onto others.
Yeah.
And I want to talk more about this team thing. There's a Maxwell quote, leadership isn't about lifting up trophies, it's about lifting up people. The best leaders build teams that win long before they step onto the field.
Yeah.
Powerful.
So how much is it good coaching plus good team? Like I think about what you've done at this church, to be honest, Pastor Craig, and what you've done with the Bonhams and the team that Hal leads and the team that Daryl leads. Like it is good coaching. Right. And the first thing you said was Andy Reid. When we were talking about are the team's going to win, right? Like Andy Reid is the coach, but it's also coaching plus team plus the players. Like what is the leadership nuggets kind of in there about good coaching?
We've kind of already talked about you need coaching, you need a good team, you need to be able to be a good leader, leading your staff. The Bible says in 1 Corinthians 12, we're one body, and all the parts matter, all have value, even the invisible parts. Yeah. Like you hear them say, even those in the training facility, you hear them talking about the people that got me ready for the game. So I think we got to have a healthy perspective of it's the invisible parts and the visible parts. Now, the visible parts, we're the teaching team. So everyone sees us on stage thinking, wow, that's a valuable part. It is, but there's so much more to the health of an organization or a church goes well beyond just the teaching. And I think that's an important part, that we understand that every part of the body, every member is valuable. And a good coach is going to make sure that they're acknowledging those that even seem invisible.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, our job as pastors is to equip people for what they're going to do, empower them. And so that's what a coach does is you put them in the best position, the best place to get the most out of where they're skilled and all that. I mean, it's the same thing in the church, but I think that's one of those things that people miss so often is I think a lot of times we get to a certain place where we're like, it's about us, but no, I mean, true leadership and true greatness is always who are you bringing up behind you. And we can get so worried about who else we're bringing. It's funny, when you talk about certain quarterbacks in the league, some are great at helping the younger people under them, and then some act like they don't exist because they're so afraid they're going to take away from their spotlight.
Yeah.
And it's like, no. The greatness comes from bringing up other people. But that's what the church is. The church should be a place where we are actively trying to help people reach their full potential in God.
Yeah.
So what is it that you're great at? What is it that you're called to? Where is it that you should be going and doing? And it may be that you're going to be in this position where you're with me, or man, you're going to outgrow me and go somewhere else. And that's amazing. And that's awesome. Yeah. And how do we get people to do that? One of the people that I look at, especially in the NBA, Eric Spoelstra at the Heat. Yeah. He is amazing at getting the most out of guys and here's how you know this. The moment they leave the Heat, they don't do as well. He's just amazing at getting the right people in the right place. And that's one of the things Pastor Craig.
Is that National Badminton Association when you say NBA? What was it? Oh, no.
That's where we put it in.
Sorry.
Wow.
Pastor Craig is a wild man on the basketball court. Not that he's good, but he's a wild man. And
6 inch vertical leap.
I've heard if you want to get fouled really hard, you play with Pastor Craig. But I think that's the thing is
coaches can't bring it out. Yeah.
Are we filling needs? Or are we just doing what we think some people want? Or are we helping them find the best versions of themselves? So
you mentioned something. We're not saying it's easy, but man, you got to check ego out of the way. I mean, it's because we all want to, come on, we all want to be recognized at some point, but not at the expense of the whole organization and just something you got to work through.
I think the vulnerability piece that you were talking about, like keeping your ego in check, how easy it would have been for you to even kind of peacock up with your daughter. Like, I do care for you. What are you talking about? You know? And you just put your ego down.
Like for me, Daryl sings at the end of the message many times. You know, I could do that too. But I don't feel like I need to compete with Daryl with my voice. Why? Because that's ego.
Yeah. That's nice.
I choose not to.
That's so humble.
You know, people have been complaining.
People have been complaining that you're not singing.
I know.
And no, I think definitely
you humble.
And Hal mentioned it. You know, one of the profound skills of a coach, which clearly Craig had, is to put the people in the right position.
That's good. Amen. That's a good one.
To know, like. Coaches can see things that other people don't see. It's like, why would you pick that player? Well, you're not looking at it from 30,000 feet. You can't see what I can see. That's why, like, why would you pick Hal?
Yeah.
Why would you pick
I still
Daryl?
wonder why about Hal. But
I just showed up one day and Craig's like, I guess this is what we got.
I guess we're doing
he has
this.
a cool beard.
Yeah. And so most people will never know that until they see it working.
Yeah.
And then they go, oh, that's what you were doing. We couldn't see that. And God anoints and he blesses coaches to be able to see. And when those coaches are humble, they can go, yeah,
that's good.
I picked that running back. I know he's not as fast as this guy, but I've got a guy who's fast, and I need someone who's a steamroller, and I need this person over here.
That's good.
And a coach helps to orchestrate and infuse the DNA of, man, this is how we're going to operate. Because even when the coach steps aside, even when the coach takes a step back, that DNA has to be able to run without him. It's good. Like, because once we get on the field, or once we're on the court, we got to do what we do. And the coach is so much a part of what's happening in the practice time and infusing and thought and philosophy. It has to become second nature to what we do. I think about like Phil Jackson. When you go back and watch some old footage, half of the time Phil Jackson is sitting down. He's going, I've taught these guys enough to know, let them run.
That's good.
Let them. I've infused enough stuff into them to now go be great. We've talked about this enough. Now go be great. And I think that's in any area of life, whether you're a parent or you're a leader, one of the best things to do is be able to step back and go, hey, where should people be? And how do I help them be great where they are? How do we get people in the right places so that we can be all that God wants us to be? Like as a parent of multiple children, while there is a philosophy that we raise all the children under, I've got to lead them all differently.
Yeah, the worst thing you'd say, be like your brother.
No.
Oh, don't. Please. Everyone's unique.
Yeah. And you've got to discover their gift, their talent, and go, how do I help you to be great for the team?
Yeah. So I've got a question for the two of you guys, kind of putting these two together, and you guys have older kids. How do you help your kids fail? Because I think that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
How do you help your kids walk through that? Like, what do you do? Like, mean, you guys, your kids play sports. They've done a lot of things, all that kind of stuff in life. How do you help your kids? Because if they never fail, or they never understood that they failed, or you blame it on everybody else every time they fail.
Yeah.
That's a great question. Number one, you got to let them fail.
Yeah.
We got this thing we don't want them to, and they need to. Again, there's different types of failure. I'm not going to let them something to be so consequential in their life, but they have to learn. That may not be the best way, but I guess you'll figure it out. And so they have to have a few failures. That's one of the first things about it for me. I don't know.
Yeah, we were real honest with our kids about failure from the very beginning. I think that's something that we Tracy and I are probably a little more hardcore. When our kids were little is when they started to do the everybody gets a trophy.
Yeah.
That's when that started. And we were like, no.
Not in our
Everybody
house.
doesn't get a trophy. And I remember my son started playing T-ball, and I didn't know it was T-ball. I thought it was regular kid baseball. And I go up, and they've got a T-ball, and he's like 7 years old. And they got a little T-ball, and I was like, no. We've been practicing throwing and hitting and swinging, and this is garbage. Like if he was 3, T-ball, but he's 7. Swing and hit the ball. And so halfway through the season, they take the little T-stand away, and parents were losing their minds because their kids couldn't hit the ball.
Too hard.
It's too hard. And I was like, that kid's got to learn how to swing and fail and get better. And so we taught our kids, learn from the mistake.
Right.
Yep, you struck out. So when we go home, we're going to learn, what do we do? How do you stand better? How do you grip the bat better? How do you do this? And we did that in every sport that they did. Hey, you're going to come across people who are better than you.
Yeah.
Don't get mad.
Yeah.
Get inspired. Learn from them. Ask them, how did you kick the ball that way? Hey, how are you shooting consistently? And take that failure home. But most of all, keep moving forward. Don't quit. Don't stop. Keep moving forward. You don't know what the other side of it is going to be. And so, I said before, losing is an underrated skill. And it's a skill that you have to develop in your children at a young age to go, hey, you're going to fail. And that's okay. Failure is a part of success. We don't stop because we fail. I think it was, I can't think of his name, but he said, failure is just another opportunity to know how to not do it.
Is that Edison?
It might be Thomas Edison. He's like, I've learned all these ways of how not to make a light bulb. And so it's like, okay,
It
good.
is a mindset. You gotta have that mindset.
And
It's
the-
not that
and
you're
the-
happy that you're losing.
No.
It's not that you're going, yay, I lost.
No.
I see it as a part of the process.
Yes,
It's a part of the process.
and I think as long as you teach that and you let them fail, like, we were such hardcore parents, like we didn't baby-proof our house. Because I want you to bump your head on the corner of that table
They're
so
gonna call
you
that
can
hotline on
learn
you,
you can learn how to navigate corners. Like now that
I'm
you
learning
bumped
I didn't
your
go
head,
that far.
now that you bumped your head, now you're going, okay, let me learn how to maneuver. Let me listen, we will not waste pain. I'm gonna learn. You're gonna learn how to turn. And we wouldn't put our kids in danger,
Right,
but it's like, let them fall. Let them fall off the bike. Let them so they can figure it out.
It's tough,
and then
man.
learn.
Parents, you got to hear that.
I think that was why you were so impressed with Mahomes. What kind of started this whole conversation was how much he didn't give up and just kept going, right? And the fact that they got the last 10 minutes was, kind of a little, redemption that they, got some points on the board.
And he took the ownership that he needed to take.
Yeah.
Right.
Because, here's the truth. Yeah, his offensive line was trash. It was. It wasn't good at all.
Bad.
But he still made some bad decisions.
Yeah.
And so now, you could put it, but if he doesn't go, part of this is on me, he's not learning anything going into next season.
Right.
So, because sooner or later, your offensive line is going to get beat.
Yep.
Yep.
And I love the keep fighting to the final whistle kind of mindset because it becomes it's character over circumstance.
Yes.
At the end of the day, it's about you. And how you respond to losing or failure says a lot about who you are as a person. And so it's like, my character is I'm still a winner. I might have lost this game, but man, I'm still a winner. I'm still a fighter. I'm still on the battlefield. This doesn't mean that I sulk. It just means that I own it.
Yeah. That's good.
What an analogy for life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like whatever
many-
stage you're at in life, whatever age, like run your race, finish strong.
Yep.
That's good.
Yeah.
Man, a lot of good football stuff in here. Good.
Yeah.
It is. I think that's one of the reasons why so many parents put their kids in sports. But it's not just sports. There's so many things, activities that you can be involved in where it's like they have to learn how to get along with people.
Yeah, it's good
compete,
structure. Yeah,
and then figure out how to deal with failure because you always do. Sooner or later, you're going to run into somebody better than you.
Yeah.
And how do you respond to it?
Yeah.
Good.
Absolutely. Well, I loved what you guys said that finishing well bleeds into the next season. So you're winning or you're learning. And finishing well carries through in seasons of life, in seasons of heartache, in seasons of whatever you're going through personally. And we'll see what the Chiefs do next year.
No, about the Bucks, man, next year.
Oh, sorry.
Next year.
Mayfield.
Listen,
Baker,
champions
man. Baker
don't
is a leader.
dwell on defeat. They use it. They use it. So he's
They're
going to go
learning.
home. He's going to watch film. He's going to study it. And he's going to come back better. So...
All right, and Pastor Hal and I were the only two that said the Eagles were going to win this year.
We were.
So now we get to celebrate with some buffalo chicken dip.
Yes.
Ooh, baby. Come on now.
Any closing thoughts, or it's time to eat?
Closing thoughts, man.
Closing thoughts.
I
think the common theme was gotta own it. You know, it's okay to own that you made a mistake. You know, the Bible says God resists the proud but gives grace to the humble. Well, so do people.
Yeah.
You know, if you'll humble yourselves, you're going to draw your kids to you, your wife to you, if you had a mistake, you know, but when you're proud and arrogant and don't own anything, it's hard to have any kind of restoration of relationship. Just own your stuff and start over.
Yeah, you will draw more people to you if you're honest about your mistakes than if you're talking about all your wins.
Yeah.
That's something we always talk, even from stage. Like, it's one of those things, like, I can share wins and a couple people will be like, I get it. But when I share my losses, everybody's like, yep, been there.
Yeah.
Walk through that. And so it is one of the most, it draws so many, your kids they will be okay with sharing their faults and the things they're going through if you're okay sharing yours.
That's good. I'll say that I wrote this down. It's not about how many times you fall, but how many times you rise. Losing well positions you for a greater comeback. So if you're anybody who's in a season of loss, don't waste it. Use it. Because those who fight with integrity, even when you know you won't win, are the ones who end up changing the game forever.
Wow. He writes things down. That's good.
That is awesome.
I like that.
Well, I appreciate you guys. Let's eat.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you, Miss Katie Cartner, for sponsoring this episode with some buffalo chicken dip. Oh my gosh.
It's killer.
This is very good.
She sent me pictures of her cooking this and how much time she put into it. And she said this is the world's best buffalo chicken dip.
It's very good.
And I just want everyone to understand, she has boxes for you to take home. This was just for me to put some self-control out there.
Boxes
of buffalo chicken dip. Like, you have your own container.
I'm way more excited about it now.
This was just a sample.
Because I can only eat so much of it during the podcast
We
without
can leave now.
drowning everybody else out.
Short podcast.
Wow. That's good.
Thank you. Thank you.
We appreciate food, especially
Yes.
Super Bowl food, especially this time of year.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Katie.
You had good
Awesome.
Super Bowl food, didn't you?
Oh, don't even go there, man. Yeah, Super Bowl food, you're supposed to have chips and dip, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
My wife says, well, I don't want everything unhealthy. Well, that's what Super Bowl pre-parties are about. And so we had Greek salad instead of chips and dip.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Oh my gosh.
That sounds
that
horrible.
is
It was a blast.
hysterical. That is so funny. Well, thank you, Katie, for your buffalo chicken dip.
Yes,
and thank
very
you
good,
guys
Katie.
for being with us for another
Thank you.
episode of the Pastor's
The
Hangover.
anger.
We'll see
feel
you
it.
next week.